My bad.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone, again to the Outer Realm on the Wednesday night segment. We are broadcasting live on United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been with us since day one. Thank you, Folgers. Also, big thank you to our other sponsor, Dr. Snick, a.k.a. Justice Snicker, the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of our intro and outro. Justin is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you name it, it's there. Tonight, we welcome, for the very first time, and I hope I'm pronouncing your last name properly, Scott McClelland, only because I have a friend who goes exact same last name, so please correct me if I don't get it right. He's going to be sharing with us tonight insight into his lineage, which is a Bohemian family. Yes, has been running traveling shows for 104 years. My gosh, that's going to be just fantastic to hear that story. He's also practicing witch, paranormalist. He's an actor. He's a performer. He's just so many amazing things. He's awesome. So to participate in the shows tonight, guys, you know the drill. We are on our usual spots, which of course is... Okay, if we're getting onto Facebook, we are on Canada's Most Haunted. Outer Realm. News on the flip side, of course, United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal. Same goes for YouTube. Also, the Outer Realm on YouTube and UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. So lots of stuff there. People are chiming in. Thank you all for tuning in. We did try this, but of course, you know, the live button had a mind of its own and did not go. So we're going to quickly play, you know, because we've been a harpy about everybody doing a Folgers commercial. Okay, we're going to play. Renee Dykes sent in a good one. We have two new ones tonight, and here we go, Renee.
Hi, Renee Dykes here. I'm with Paranormal Adventure Events. Also, my team is Tennessee Night Stalker Paranormal Intrigue. And as people know, when you go on ghost hunt, you've got to have the go juice. And what's scarier than the mug that I have right here is not having this right here. I even carry my own K-cup coffee maker with me, a little mini, when I go on ghost hunts around other states. Yeah, that's how dedicated I am to Folgers. Thank you.
And thank you, Renee.
I love that accent. I just love that accent.
I love it as well.
Yeah.
Great way to advertise yourself, your business, what you do. We've had a lot of our guests, start sending them in. A lot of listeners send them in. Get creative. It's advertising. We have millions of listeners a night in the archives. Again, SoundCloud being our strongest, which I think our lowest is in a couple of 100,000, and the highest is probably close to 2 million. So, chime in. It's always there. You never know when we're going to play it. So, okay, we're going to bring in our special guest now because he's been waiting. Bam, there we are. How are you?
Hello.
Salutation, ladies.
Oh, I love it.
Hello. I like it. How are you?
I'm most awesome.
Most awesome works well for me. We feel exactly the same way. I'm so pleased that you were here to join us tonight. I love the parlor room. Is this a parlor room? Is this a seance room?
I am in the parlor right now of the Diablo Manor.
Yeah, it looks like it belongs at Michelle's house. Just saying.
I know. I was telling
It
this
really
to Scott
does.
over chat. Pretty sure we have the same taste in decor.
Yeah.
So, I know.
He'd be very comfortable at your house. I'm getting a lot of back feed on my line.
Are you? I don't hear any feedback at all.
That's okay, as long as you're not hearing it. I hope nobody in the audience is. I'm getting it.
Okay.
You sound fine on my end.
It's good. Okay, good.
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent. So, I have been so curious when you sent me the first little blip about your family being involved in this for 104 years. It kind of answered the first question that I always ask, which sort of goes back to humble beginnings. I guess it pretty much speaks for itself. But I would love it if you would start there, and then we can just let it flourish from that point.
Absolutely. My grandfather came over on the boats from the Ukraine in 1898.
Wow.
Between 1898 and 1918, he was an immigrant, obviously, that did not want to be a farmer. Now, most of the Ukrainians that came over were people that worked the land. And my grandfather knew in his heart of hearts that he wanted to be a magician.
Wow.
And so at the age of 18, he got it in his head that first off, he needs a partner, somebody that will travel with him, a life partner at that.
Right.
And so he started looking around for a prospective partner, and it just happens he was in a grocery store. And this is way back in the day. This is not the grocery stores we're used to.
I know. I'd say the whole typical grocery store line.
And he saw this beautiful girl down the bread line. And he said to his father, because he was with his father at the time, he says, I think this is the girl I want to marry. And his father went to her father that was standing next to her, and he says, would you mind if we set up a dinner? My son would like to meet your daughter. And ultimately, they talked for a bit, and they were like, well, you've got a horse, we've got a cow. This sounds like a pretty good thing. We'll allow this. So from what I heard, my grandfather finally went over to my grandmother's place, which was before that his soon-to-be lady friend. And, well, they didn't speak once during the whole evening. They ate a huge Ukrainian feast, and the parents spoke to each other quite a bit, but they sat on either side of the table and only got to look at each other.
Nice.
That's worked back then. And then ultimately they get together. And it was fast and furious in the sense that they fell, and grandfather found not only a life partner, a great performer, and a great business partner to work with.
I love it. I love it.
As of 1918, they started building on the first show. And my grandfather's love for theatrics was bizarre because he didn't just want to perform magic, he wanted to perform Grand Guignol theater. And for those that aren't in the know, Grand Guignol theater is it's morality plays with blood, and very gory. And they were popular in the Victorian time period in the early 20s.
It was. They love that stuff.
And ultimately, he built his first show, and it was rather unusual.
Right. I'm just getting one. Everybody, I've got a couple comments in the chat for you. Someone's asking, Shady, hello, Linda, if you can get a bit closer to the mic because they're having a bit of difficulty hearing you. So I guess it might be a little bit glitchy.
How was that?
Is that better?
I can't
chime
tell.
in, people. I like it.
Let me know.
And then Alex, this is for you. Say hi to Scott for me. He knows me.
Oh,
Alex Rondini.
Oh, Alex.
There we go.
It's been a long time since I've talked to Alex. He's a wonderful man and a great paranormalist.
Oh yeah, he is hilarious, Mr. What is it, Mr. Burrito? Alex is a friend. Yeah, so just
Ah,
the burrito thing goes on. He's probably saying, "Shut up! Don't talk about the burrito." I can't hear you, Amelia, at all. No, I cannot. Hello, Derek. Hi, Tamara, Tina, Kira West. Much better. Okay, perfect. So let's go. And Bubbles is gone. All right, we'll have to wait for her to come back in. I know. Burrito King. There we go. There we go. Own it, Alex. Own it. I love it. Okay, she'll come back in, and then we'll be able to. We'll just continue on. So, now your grandfather starts basically this what's going to be your lineage, your history,
yes.
everything. Where do we go from here with his life partner and this amazing thing?
Grandpa went down to the States, to Peoria, Illinois, and bought an old freak show museum. And that museum had been around for around 85 years before he actually took it over.
Wow.
So the artifacts, and they were wonderful artifacts, were now, if we looked at them, around 230 years old.
Wow.
Grandfather took a two-headed calf out of the museum, and that was his first big exhibit. And in 1920, he put under a big top the two-headed calf as like a mini single-o freak show. And
Wow.
The money he generated from just showing this two-headed calf and selling popcorn was enough to build his first ride.
Wow.
He was building an empire, and he wanted to build a large carnival. And so he was an inventor. And this is a thing that I'm very proud of, because of the fact that Grandpa did things differently than most people. He never actually went and looked at other people's carnival rides. He actually wanted to build them the way he saw them in his head.
Right.
And he wasn't sure what made a carnival ride work.
Mm-hmm.
So he he came up with this fantastic idea. It was an airplane ride. And back then, airplanes were brand new. Like the Wright brothers were still alive. They were just flying for the first time. And flight was like the big deal.
Right.
And so, Grandpa built these beautiful airplanes out of wood and put them on chains and on a large kind of circular carousel. And he attached the motor to a belt that went to the back of a truck tire.
Wow, that's genius.
And they would put the truck in gear and go into first gear, and it would start the first lap of the planes going around. Then he put it into second gear, and it would get faster. And that's how they ran the first ride, was using their fucking truck.
Oh my gosh.
I know
it's amazing.
Everything, and it was brilliant. And,
it was. Yeah. Wow.
So after the first year, of course, he brought out more of his freaks, and he started to design more carnival rides. And unbeknownst to the general public, my grandfather did a lot of inventing for the carnival industry. And right. To truncate his history, he did this wonderful thing where he was looking at carousels when he was younger, like when he was around 15, 16. He thought, these are beautiful things, these big old carousels with the horses and the love seats and all that. But he was an equestrian rider, and he thought to himself, if I were on one of these wooden horses, I'd want to feel it beneath me like I was riding it. And so my grandfather invented the step mechanism that makes the horses go up and down on the merry-go-round, which was the advent of the bobbing horse merry-go-round.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That is genius. They definitely don't do anything like that anymore. Sorry, I just had to resend Amelia the link. Her internet keeps going down. I don't know. Maybe it's your Diablo Manor just reaching out. It's like crazy little things going on tonight. Usually I've got, my own haunted house going on, but I think I've got a combo of yours. People are saying you're a bit staticky coming across the different. Yeah, maybe it's a sensitivity thing. We're all staticky, guys?
Yeah, I'm static. Both are static. I was on my end, got bounced out. I changed earbuds. I changed wired.
You're staticky. Do I sound staticky to you, Scott?
You don't sound staticky, but Amelia, you sound like a robot. You're going grrr, grrr,
I know, like a mandrake.
Everyone is saying that we're staticky. That's just crazy.
It's really
Better now?
bad. It's really bad. Like, and it's
Okay.
really
Yes.
bad.
People saying I'm not. Tina's saying, yeah, it's Amelia who's staticky now. You sound like you're underwater.
Now you sound better now. How do I sound?
Underwater. Still.
Really?
Ooh,
See, there's
yes.
something wrong with my internet. I'm gonna go in the chat then. I don't understand why it's like this. Let me see. How's this?
Okay. Well, try that, and then maybe try coming back on in a bit. The link will still work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bubbles will be in chat, everybody. Okay. See. Okay. Can you talk for a minute, Scott?
I can.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'll tell you about a second thing that my grandfather invented for the carnivals.
Okay.
In the early 20th century, like 1910, 1912, all Ferris wheels were built by the German company called the Ferris Company.
Right.
And were built out of wood and shipped overseas to Canada and America, upright, already put together. And the problem was, when you were trying to move these things across the prairies in Canada, the winds were strong, and it would blow over the Ferris wheels, and they'd splinter into nothing. And people would lose their livelihoods because they'd spent all this money getting the Ferris wheel off from Germany to Canada. So my grandfather was like, this is stupid. I'm going to create a Ferris wheel that is trailer-based.
Right.
And folds in half.
Right.
Creating the first trailer-based ride. And because it folded in half, it was actually easier to move. And
wow.
That
is crazy. It's brilliant, but it's like it's things that you don't think about ever being an issue.
It's true. They called my grandfather the brain from the Ukraine because he was constantly inventing things that made people's lives easier in the show industry and also in the food industry. And I'll get to that in a second. I think you're really going to like that story.
Okay. No, I love it. I love it.
I can tell you one more thing right now that he invented that has to do with carnivals.
Okay.
This one's huge. My grandfather invented the teacup ride for Disneyland.
Wow.
The center wheel that makes the teacups go around was his invention, and our family has the patent on that. So when you see the strawberries at the carnivals and all these other things that have the center wheel, thank my grandfather. He invented the teacup ride for Disneyland. It started out as flying saucers. And so when I was a kid, I was brought up on my grandfather's carnival. We've got pictures of me at 6 weeks of age in front of my grandfather's Ferris wheel and everything. He had his own Ferris wheel company. And when we went to visit when I was a kid, we could always tell we were getting close to Grandpa's house because for 20 miles before you got to the house, you could see this great big dome hovering over the prairies because he was in Saskatchewan.
And that dome see that a mile away.
He built these 55-foot Ferris wheels inside the dome and tested them there. And so the dome was huge. Wow. And this was just part of our upbringing. It's like, we could always tell when we were getting close to Grandpa's because of the dome. But when we got there, because in 1968, my grandmother passed away, and she was the lifeblood of my grandfather.
Right.
They had toured from 1920 through 1968, 48 beautiful years. And ultimately, in 68, when she passed on, my grandfather decided to open up an amusement park. And so the fun spot was open in my grandfather's backyard. Now, I was 4 in 68, so I actually got to enjoy the fun spot during all of my formative years. And it was a lot of fun. It really was. Like, all of his rides were running. He had the freak show going, the concession stands, everything.
Wow. What a remarkable lineage. That is a kid that would have just been, that's a kid's dream right there. Yeah. Nobody has that. But I love the whole buying out, the museum. I know I own pieces of Billy Jameson's collection, and he had bought out the old Niagara Falls Museum of Oddities.
Bill was an old friend of mine. I miss him dearly.
Oh my gosh. I filmed with him, and we just had so much fun. And he says, you have to go to my Halloween party. It's the talk of the town. I'm like, what, really? He goes, yes. I said, you know how busy I am Halloween? He goes, no, it doesn't matter. Now you're going to be busy doing something else. And yeah, it was wild. So I bought out, I've got a few little pieces and, well, taxidermy stuff, but just a wonderful person. But it seems obviously, you have a little bit of kinship there. The museum that your grandfather bought, where was that one? Where did it come out?
It came from Peoria, Illinois.
Wow.
I don't know the name of the museum itself, but he had 120 exhibits that he purchased. And
Wow.
I own his estate. So I have all 120 freak exhibits here at the Manor.
Wow.
And, top of my own collection, because I started collecting in 1984. So from
Right.
84 to now, I've been collecting freaks and anomalies also. So the
Right.
collection is rather huge. And when people come to the Diablo Manor, the tour is exciting because unbeknownst to a lot of historians, my grandfather got his hands on in Baltimore the original Fiji mermaid.
Wow.
Barnum two made. One was burnt in the big fire, and another one was in Iranistan, his mansion that he kept.
Wow.
That's what my grandfather owns. And now
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Very nice. Very nice. That's just an amazing, amazing story. I love it. So how do you even, how do you go on from there? He did so many incredible things. It's like it's like keeping up with it in a way,
Well,
Where did you go from there?
it's a weird one. Like, you have to admit, like, I was blessed for being born into the family, but I was cursed because my grandfather was such a great man. Like,
Yes.
he was bigger than life. It was like having your grandfather being Walt Disney. It's like, how do you top Disney? You don't. So
No.
it's like, I've had quite a few friends say this to me, and it's like, I think it's important for me to start to think this way.
Right.
I've spent 44 years in the industry now as a showman, and
Right.
ultimately, I've got to start giving myself the accolades because I've owned my own large attractions. I've done movies with Tim Curry and Grace Jones and Sean Ashmore and people like that, and
Right.
I've had the privilege of working with and around the greats in the circus and sideshow industry.
Right.
So many stories.
I know it's exciting. Oh, hey, Michael. Somebody's asking. Well, we will get to where Diablo Manor is. We're going to build up to that. But if you look across the banner at the bottom, you're going to see the website. So you can just punch in diablomanor.com and it's there, and go and have a little peruse around. And if you have any questions, come back and chat and we will put it up. Of course, here we go. Here's another comment. Party at Scott's house. Yep. See, you're bringing back memories right now. It's just candy apples. Oh my God, caramel corn. Oh my God, I remember getting sick on one of those rides after too much carnival food. I know. It's awesome, though. I love it.
Would you like another carnival story?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, back in the 1920s, all carnivals, when it came to food and drink, had to carry their food and drink with them. So, drinking-wise, that meant if you wanted to have milk, you had dairy cattle on the road with you. Lemons were seasonal. You had to carry the fucking lemons in big crates, and they were
Right.
seasonal. You were growing them in your own orchards. Root beer and sarsaparilla were carbonated, but we didn't have the big canisters back then. And so
Right.
carbonation was hard to do on the road. So it wasn't often that you get root beer and sarsaparilla at the carnivals.
Right.
My grandfather was thinking, because he had this large carnival after, many years of working. Hello and welcome back, Amelia.
Hi, how do I sound? Oh,
There.
Much,
Perfect.
much better. Yes.
much better. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm losing my it keeps falling out of my ear. I swear there's something going on here.
It's coming from Scott's house.
Yeah.
We don't
It
ever
was-
have this problem.
No, it's definitely, and I changed headsets and I'm
Right.
still getting feedback. So I know it is because we were fine before you connected.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
not trying to be a downer.
No,
or
it's all the
anything. I'm
juju
just
coming from the manor.
it's the two manors across from
I
each
know,
other.
see.
It's one of those heebie-jeebie shit things. Sorry.
All right.
You can say the
Bubbles.
S
And you're
word.
caught in the middle.
I am.
So-
Literally. Literally, I'm caught in the middle.
So,
Hello,
okay, so
Marisa.
continue on about the your story,
Oh
please.
yes. So ultimately,
Carbonated beverages.
yes,
Oh
drinking
my.
on the carnival lot was a hard thing to do if you wanted to, sell a lot of product, and everybody has to drink. We're not
Right.
talking alcohol. We're just talking people get thirsty, yelling and screaming and having a good time.
Right.
So my grandfather thought, okay, we don't want to carry dairy cattle all the time. We don't want to carry like a whole bunch of lemons. We don't want to try and figure out how to carbonate things when we can't. So what are we going to do? Well, my grandfather was a botanist and a chemist. Okay.
Mm.
And so he sat down and he came up with this beautiful idea. And that was, I know you're sitting down, but I'm going to say to anybody that's listening right now, are you sitting down? Because, my grandfather created the flavor crystal, Kool-Aid.
Oh, come on, really?
I'm not lying. Again, our family has the patent. And so he created, because he needed something that was fast and easy to make on the road, a flavor crystal made nobody had ever seen that before. And ultimately what he did was he had a big magic show on his stage when he was doing his touring.
Right.
He would bring out this big bowl of water and
Right.
a bag of flour that was marked flour on it. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, if I place flour in water, what do I get? And people would usually yell back at the performers if they were asking questions. They go like, dough! And he goes, well, not today. And he'd take this bag of flour and pour it into the water. And the water would turn bright red. And he would take a ladle and he'd start to stir it up. And then he would take and ladle out 30 cups of strawberry punch to the
Oh,
front
God, that's
door.
awesome.
And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, this is magical strawberry punch. And if you like this, you can find it on our Carnival Midway for just 5 cents a person. Please indulge in the real magic of life. And so that's what my grandfather did. He made
Wow.
made
That's
everything magical.
Dolly says, Amelia, turn your computer volume down. Shady says, waiting for the Kool-Aid man to bust through the wall and say, oh yeah.
Wait!
Yeah, it's not my computer. I'm on a sound audio system, Dolly. So it's not the computer. The computer's all set up. As you can hear, I'm not cracking
Yeah.
right now. So it's something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an audio mixer, so it shouldn't be doing any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't, Michelle and I don't speak through our computers, or we
No,
wouldn't be
no,
employed.
yeah.
We wouldn't be employed if we were talking through our computers.
That's true. We wouldn't have sponsors. That's for sure.
This is my first time with you guys. I don't have anything set up except for my iPad right
Oh
now.
no, don't worry
Yeah.
about you. Our guests we're not worried about our guests. It's ours that we just can't
Yeah.
go through unless we're wired. We're all wired and grounded in so that we're guaranteed to be up and loaded every week. That's why. Yeah.
Oh.
It happens sometimes.
So, yeah, Tina says all the spirits at Scott's place.
It's
Mine
not,
all know to behave on show night.
don't dismiss Michelle's. She had a full house over the weekend, so
Yeah.
just
Not
saying.
spirits. Yeah. Not spirits. And we were filming this weekend. So that's a hard act to follow. Grandpa's just sort of an inventor of many amazing things,
Yeah, no kidding. Kool-Aid. Oh my god.
right?
Yeah.
Amongst other things. So, go ahead.
Okay, this is just these things come to me. It's like when I was 8, like I was sentient enough to note that when we were at grandfather's house, in the hallway there was a door that was always closed. It was a red door.
That's
And
the door you
and
wanted.
It said on a plaque, private. And it was a fucking red door. And my grandfather said you can never go inside that room.
Right.
Oh.
And my mom never went inside that room. My father, my brother, my sister, all my cousins, nobody went into that room. That was Grandpa's secret room.
Oh.
So ultimately, there was a day where they were running the carnival outside in the yard. There was nobody in the house. I knew that. I was probably around 11 at the time. And I was walking to go out to the carnival through the hallway, and I saw the door actually was ajar.
Oh, that's very tempting.
It was.
Did you
Did
go
you
in?
do it?
Did you do it?
I went and snuck up to the door, knowing that Grandpa was outside. And I slowly opened it up. This is really stupid and crazy and weird.
No, it's not. I would have done it.
No, what I'm about to tell you is really stupid.
Oh, okay.
And I slowly fucking opened this thing up. And
Oh my
God.
Kool-Aid.
On shelves going to the back of the house were lawn gnomes. My grandfather invented the lawn gnome on top of all of this. So it's
not the lawn gnome.
Are you wait a minute, because
factory where he was building lawn gnomes and sending them worldwide all over the place. Little fishing lawn gnomes, golfing.
that's why that door was closed. Michelle has an aversion to gnomes.
They're wicked little things.
They are. And
no, they're not. They're
grandfather's
cute.
place in the front yard as an attraction, there was a great big Dutch windmill that was working with the water and everything. And fishing from the windmill on different parts of it were gnomes. And my grandfather had created 4-foot-tall mushrooms made of fiberglass.
I love it.
On, so you look like you were a gnome too. And so
I
it's
love
like
it.
we never put these things together until I went into that red room. And
I would not have been on the gnome ride, just saying.
You know, Red Room is murder in The Shining, right? Just
Like red rum.
Red Rum.
Dolly,
Red Rum.
yeah, my grandfather is in the room. He's right behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Dolly sees him.
That is my grandfather right there. The man wearing that strange plumed hat and holding that skull. He used to do seances on stage.
See?
Oh my God, that's
So
dangerous.
Very cool,
that's my
Grandpa.
grandfather right there.
Cool grandpa, but dangerous. He lived like on the edge. And the teacups at Disney, that was the first ride I went on.
Here's something
did.
that has nothing to do with carnivals with my grandfather. You know how everybody in the past would go fishing, for supper and all that? Well, grandfather was kind of interesting in the sense that when he went fishing, he didn't bring a rod. Instead, he would take and ball up fucking marijuana in little bits of bread and throw them out into the lake. The fish would eat it, get stoned, and float up to the top, and he'd just wade out and pick up the fish and put them in the basket.
Okay,
You
that's
gotta
just,
be kidding
That's just
me.
genius. Nowadays,
Now
it might be a bit of an
everybody's-
expensive fishing trip, though. But
Everybody's going to go with
Not
edibles now.
on
Watch.
your own. Not expensive at all. And so, there was that also.
oh my gosh,
Yeah, but
that
right
is
now,
just is too
Scott-
funny. But Dolly is insisting he's like really there spiritually with you right now.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
No, so there
You're
you go.
talking about him, so it just rules him
Exactly.
forward. And he was,
Hi, Grandpa.
he used to do,
Yeah.
Exactly. Hi, Grandpa.
yeah, good
Everybody say
fishing
hello.
bait for sure.
I know.
Marisa, throw those edibles in. She's a good friend. Throw that. I can say that to her. Throw the edibles in.
I know. Mike says I'll be thinking about this next month when I'm on the teacups. Okay, this is good. Get the Kool-Aid too. Oh, she says he kissed you.
Wait, when my grandfather invented the teacups, which were originally flying saucers, one of the things he decided on, and this saved everybody in the industry, was to drill holes in the seats because people were puking all over the place and they had to make the puke go somewhere. Otherwise, it was just a big fucking pot of puke.
Oh, we got to watch our F-bombs because we're on FM. Yeah, you just got to watch the F-bombs.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It took us a while to learn how to do that too. So don't,
Oh yeah,
don't
believe me,
feel
we're
bad.
truckers too.
Yeah, don't feel bad.
I will not
No.
swear.
Yeah. No,
Just
because once we hit FM from east to west coast, it's a $50,000 fine. Yeah.
Apologize. And
I'm here.
It's
I am sitting
okay.
here laughing.
I know where you live.
I love ducks.
Yeah,
Ducking is great. And,
Ducking is great.
Yeah.
ducking
We can
is
do the
great.
ducks.
It's heard earlier. I'm excited
Yeah.
about ducks.
The
Oh, Alex.
Alex must know you. Go eat a
burrito.
burrito, Alex. Go eat a
Sorry,
burrito.
I'm a carny. You know,
I found one that Alex couldn't finish, so I'm pretty impressed with myself.
nice.
Dolly says Grandpa kissed you. There we go. All right.
Thank you, Dolly, for this information, by the way.
Scott, you have such
You're very
amazing
gifted.
energy and such a beautiful smile. Like, honest to God, you lure. I think you lure people in so easily just with your presence. Do you find it easy to speak to anybody when you come across them? This has got nothing to do with what you do. It's just something I'm picking up on your energy.
You know, it's interesting. Because I was brought up on my grandfather's carnival, and my grandfather was a practicing witch. He was a shaman. I saw him talk to people in a very special way, and I think that conversation and storytelling is a lost art.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
And so I picked that up from not only my grandfather Loudchuck, who owned the big carnival, but my other grandfather also, who just happened to be a Queen's Bench judge. So
Wow.
one side of my family was royalty in the sense that my grandfather was a Queen's Bench judge, the highest form of judge in the Canadian system. He did all the murder trials.
Oh,
My grandfather
the
was
stories.
Arnie, a Bohemian.
Wow.
Both worlds, you know.
I love it.
What a fascinating family you have.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's definitely, a dying art. And I say art because you go back to ancient people who everything was oral history. Everything was done orally. Nothing was written down.
You
No,
know,
that's
I'll
where the
tell you,
term broken
my
telephone came
mother
from.
and father are still alive. My mother and her youngest brother are the only ones still alive out of the family.
Wow.
Mom remembers everything.
Right.
She asked me this past Christmas when I was visiting in Calgary if I would come down and interview her on video and tape because she wants to tell the stories of being on the road.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
beautiful.
From the 40s through the 60s. You see, when my mom was 18, she ran away from the circus.
Oh,
Instead, it's usually the other way around.
That's right, because she was born in a caravan. Her house was on wheels, and she wanted a house made of brick and mortar, and
Right.
she got one. And
Right.
so ultimately, it's a beautiful story. But my grandfather had 9 kids, and this is an old world way of thinking. My grandfather wasn't big on kids. He had kids specifically because he could train them, and they could work for him for free.
Right.
And
Of
so
course.
the kids learned how to tap dance, sing, do comedy, build things, and they worked with him on the road. And so he had a family, a troupe of people. And this is how the circus works also. You'll find a lot of circus families are people that they've been born into the circus.
Yes.
They didn't join the circus. They were born into it. Well, this is
Right.
what happened with my grandfather. And so ultimately, my mom, being that she was the youngest in the family, did not perform in the shows, but instead became the trainer of the monkeys, the lions, and the bears. And so that's what my mom did.
That's
And-
exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
It
And
wow.
we have beautiful pictures of my mom and family pulled over to the side with their great big caravans and everything, cleaning their clothing in the rivers
Wow.
and washing the bears and everything.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
And so they've got the dancing bears in the rivers with them while they're cleaning, and they're playing with the bears, and it's just a very surreal life. Like my grandfather had a show called Monkey Business, Monkey Shines, and it was a show with monkeys that were dressed as humans, and
Wow.
yeah, and so monkeys would drive cars, and there'd be a police monkey that would reprimand a robbing monkey that was taking.
That's
apples.
awesome.
It was just crazy silliness,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely, you don't see, well, mind you, nowadays, everybody's so like, that's terrible. So you just wouldn't see.
It was
things.
different time, though.
Different times.
It was a
Well,
different time.
back
There's a
then-
lot of stuff we look back and go, holy crap.
Yeah.
Right.
Because ultimately, I come from a circus family, and I know that the animals were treated well.
Right.
Yeah. That's what matters.
Yeah, PETA and all that, they've done a disservice in the industry by lying a lot and saying a lot of things and doing a lot of things that were not true
Yeah.
about many circuses. And so it's nice to see that Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey closed 8 years ago. They just reopened this year.
Oh,
Did they
wow.
reopen? I love the
They're
film.
back.
Yeah.
They are back. Now, it's an all-people circus for now, but I'm hoping that this, and pardon me, I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm hoping this woke society will allow fun to start again, where people can
Right.
actually do things that are a little more interesting instead of constantly worrying about their P's and Q's, like I've been doing right now. And so
Right.
it's like, I'm not, I'm not saying anything that way. I'm just saying that ultimately, I think that children are missing out in not getting to see elephants, not getting to see a great lion tamer in a lion show. There are equestrian riding shows. Luna Caballera is a beautiful show out of Quebec. I've had the privilege of working with in the past. Does a wonderful, wonderful act with beautiful equestrian horses, stuff. It's amazing. But people like the exoticness of
I think so.
the big and strange animals we don't have in North America.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a circus I don't know if it was in the States or if it was in Europe, that tried to make great big elephant puppets and everything, and do that instead, and it didn't work. It just didn't fascinate the people like the real thing does. And
Right.
I'm going to get off my soapbox on this one, but these are things that seem to be lacking in today's
Right.
society. Is the need to have an adventure. When you went to a circus, you really were going on an adventure as a child.
Oh, I think aside from Cirque du Soleil, with the big, that entertainment, you don't see circuses on average anymore. You see a lot of the traveling shows per se, but circuses themselves and all that went with it, and the trapeze artists, aside from Cirque, again, you just don't see as much anymore. Can you see this question at all, Amelia?
Yes, I was just waiting for a
Okay.
moment to ask.
My grandfather toured Canada with his show. They were originally back in 1923 going to move down to Florida, and they were going to winter there. And they had basically bought a house and everything down in Florida, and they were going to do the whole deep south and tour up through the western part of the states and then through Canada again. But sadly, this was not even 1923. This was 1919, and what happened was they had their first baby, and the baby died 8 weeks after it was born.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It just took the wind out of my grandparents. Like they were going to start this family. It was their first baby, and the baby died, and so they ended up moving back to Canada, and they started their legacy in Canada instead.
Right. Right.
But there's some beautiful pictures from my grandfather's collection of them in Florida. And it was definitely a nice time that they had before the tragedy happened.
It was a great tragedy. Sadly, so many people suffered losses of babies back then.
Yes.
My parents, my sister was 7 months old. Dolly asked, did he travel through Illinois and Wisconsin?
That's what he just answered that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The next question is.
It's coming in and out for me. I'm sorry.
Okay. So this is the next one. She says, oh, she's just a comment.
It's a comment. Oh my God, love the animals. I knew Gunter.
Nice. I didn't know Gunther, but I did know Tarzan Zerbini, who was a big lion man. And Tarzan Zerbini's circus did travel Canada. And it was exciting. I actually was offered by Tarzan back in it was around 1987 his circus tent, because he was upgrading, and it was a beautiful tent. But I was at that time period probably only around 24, and I wasn't ready.
Right.
To take a huge circus tent that could seat 500 people.
Wow, those are impressive looking.
Yeah, but you got into a lot of. Sorry, Melly, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I just said the big top. That's what you think of when you see them, right? They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you rent it out?
I could.
I wish I knew that before I booked my daughter's big 25th bash. That would have been awesome.
So you ended up dabbling into, I say dabble, I mean, you pretty much are involved in a lot of things. I have seen your show. We'll just sidetrack a little bit. Your production on the paranormal, of course. I did see it, enjoyed it thoroughly. So I also remember, if I'm not mistaken, that you lived near in Toronto for a little while. Did you live
I
there
lived
in
in
Toronto?
Toronto for 8 years.
And you lived down near the old Lakeshore Hospital?
Did you really?
I did. I actually had a mansion on Lakeshore.
Yes, because I actually did an article for Toronto Life magazine, and they took us down to some place near there. And I remember seeing the trailer and went, oh, I gotta see this. And that was
Wow.
back in like 2007.
Yeah. I
Oh,
moved in
wow.
2008.
Did
Right.
you?
I lived there for a long time, but like in 2008, I discovered I got a contract with a thing called Carnival Diablo, and ultimately what it was a reproduction of the TV series Carnival.
Yes.
Yes, that was a great series they cut short.
They did. It's a real shame. And
They
so I
just
was
left it.
employed because Carnival Diablo in the 90s and the early 21st century was very famous. I was employed to bring Carnival Diablo to Carnival and be the A ticket under the big top. And the first place that we were to play at was a 5-week stint in the first year of 2008 in a place called Kars, Kars. It's a little tiny town in the middle of nowhere in the Ottawa region.
Right.
I'd never been to Ottawa, and here's why. You know, as a professional artist and entertainer, I didn't want to be around a political city. I don't have a political bone in my body, so
Oh, it's deep there.
just keep away
Yeah.
from me. I thought.
But see, and people say, well, what about Queen's Park, Toronto? I worked across the street from there. I worked at Queen and Bay under the Sheraton Center Hotel when I did hairdressing.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it is nothing like Ottawa. I've been to both cities. All you see walking in that neighborhood are the people from Bay Street.
Yeah.
That's it. You see them going to the deli for lunch, and I think he's still there. But yeah, it's nothing like Ottawa. I understand that. It's a tougher crowd, right?
Well, here's the thing. So ultimately, in that year, I was close enough to Ottawa to go and take a look at it on one of my days off, and I discovered it's a beautiful city.
It's a gorgeous city.
Like, holy smokes, they've got Hogwarts. Like the Parliament buildings, when you really look at them,
They think like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I want Dumbledore. I want to trade in.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is brilliant. So I started looking at the city differently, and I discovered that because it is a government city, the government workers have a strong need to do something after work. And the arts is burgeoning in this area.
Yes.
And so I was like, as a producer, I was like, you know what? I've lived in Toronto for 28 years and I hated it.
Mhm.
Hated it.
Yeah.
And here I am thinking, maybe I should move from Toronto to Ottawa. And I'm like, this is absurd. I never would have thought of this in my
Oh, I miss
Right.
Toronto. Yeah.
And so here I am. I've moved away from Toronto in 2009. And I've never looked back.
Good for you. Ottawa
Yeah.
is a beautiful
is.
city,
I've
but
been a few
there's some
times.
strong opinions on people there. But it's a gorgeous city. It's historical. And just today, I
Haunted.
posted. It's
The
extremely
same.
haunted because it's so historical. But I posted today. The library is all the symbolisms and everything looks like the Knights Templar. I posted that on our page today. So it's funny that you mentioned Ottawa because their Parliament library, if you look at the outside, has all kinds of symbolisms of the Knights Templar.
How interesting.
I posted that today.
I know. It's like,
Yeah.
I know. I have been out.
There's
all
a lot
day.
of history
I'm
there.
catching up. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the paranormal show. What made you decide to do it? I was
Well-
asked to go and see it, and I thought it was fabulous.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I invented Carnival Diablo in 1992. We were the only circus sideshow in Canada. And here's a history lesson right now. My grandfather ran his circus sideshow from 1920 through 1968. When my grandmother passed away, he stopped touring the circus sideshow. Now, my grandmother could swallow 7 swords at one time. She was in the Sword Swallower Hall of Fame. My grandfather was known as a human pincushion. He would impale his body with bicycle spokes sharpened to a deadly point. And he would do deep muscle impaling. So this is a 1920s guy, not Fakir Musafar in the 40s, a 1920s guy doing this stuff to his body. Wow. So he was a real interesting shaman. And it went from that to stopping in 68. From 68 to 92, nobody in this country did Sideshow. And then I picked it up again as his grandson. The only family in the country historically to do Sideshow was my grandfather, and then me bringing it back in 92, 1 month before Jim Rose had got started. And so we were actually around before Jim did Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and Lollapalooza.
Right.
Sally, Jesse, Raphael, wow.
We were actually legitimately starting our sideshow because of my grandfather's history. And I'm very proud of that. But I ran the sideshow from 92 until 97. And it was like, we went from 0 to 60 very fast. We were doing A&E TV specials, TLC TV specials, National Geographic TV specials, and big specials, hour-long things every time. And in having a troupe, and I've had a few, you end up meeting people that want to become famous fast, and some people don't want to work for it. So, I found that sometimes I was training people that really didn't give a rat's ass about the history, nor did they care about anything but their own applause. And what they would forget to understand is I trained them, and the only reason people were applauding was because they were swallowing a sword or laying on a bed of nails or whatever, not because of who they were, but because of the act they were performing. So if I replaced them with a different person, the applause would still be there. The screaming and yelling would still be there. They didn't think that way. And so I got tired in around 1997, 98 of having a troupe of 7 perforers. Being on the road with 7 egos is really hard.
That is hard.
I have to admit,
it's in this field too.
and I have an ego too, but I come by it naturally. And so it's like, ultimately, I created the paranormal show because of my love for the supernatural, but also because I could do it as a one-man show. And this allowed me to break away from this great big production that I had created called Carnival Diablo and do this side thing that would make me almost as much money on the road. And so Carnival Diablo didn't get put away. It just became part of a secondary production. And Carnival Diablo Productions became even bigger. And
like a parent company sort of thing.
That's right. And so in 2000, after 7 years of going to Conklin shows and speaking with Frank Conklin many times over and over again, Frank did not like freak shows. He didn't like performances at all. He was a ride man, a multimillionaire that loved rides. And Conklin shows was famous for its big rides. That's why it had the A circuit. I went to Frank in 95, saying I would like to, bring a freak show out to the carnival. It hasn't been done in years on the big circuit. I'd like to do that. And he was like, no, we're not interested. And I said, okay, well, you might think maybe I'm just a wacky little artist here that wants to do something silly. I'm going to show you what I can do. So I went down on the Midway and I found the big haunted house that they had. And I said, who's the owner of this thing? And they said, it's Billy Truax. So I said, can I speak to Billy? They said, yeah. I went up to Billy and I said, Billy, I'm going to, if you will let me, dress up as a ghoul and stand on the top of your haunted house and call people in. If I can bring your ticket receipts up by 20%, can I come on tour for the whole season with you? I want to be paid at this time $100 a day. Now that was a lot of money back in 95. But he was like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try for one day, and we'll watch our tickets and see how this goes. Well, I brought up their ticket receipts by 35%.
Wow.
I made all the papers. This was at the Calgary Stampede. That's where I had decided to start.
Mhm.
And I made all the papers, and then I started touring with Conklin. And Frank was like, okay, so this guy's actually bringing up our gate receipts, not just the ride receipt, but the gate receipts by 35%.
Nice.
He's an attraction. Interesting. Let's see
Absolutely.
what else. So at this point, he's still not interested in a sideshow. He's like, screw this. I'm still not interested. But if you want to come out and work the haunted house again next year, you can do that.
Right.
Well, I decided the next year to go out and work as a manager for one of the games. Now, the big games on Conklin shows are the birthday game and tic-tac-toe. Those are the big money makers.
Wow.
Because everybody has a birthday, and tic-tac-toe is pretty easy to play. But it's not easy to play on a carnival.
Right.
So ultimately, I went and I managed both games. And again, I lived on the carnival in the tent where the game was for the whole season. And by the way, when I was doing the haunted house, as the spook on the road, we went all the way down to Florida with it, Jacksonville. I was living in the back of that haunted house every night. That was my home. So it's like, ultimately, I went from that to running games. And then the third year, I said, well, let's change it up again. I'm going to work in food. And I got to know the person that runs the corn dogs. And I managed a corn dog operation on the Carnival Conklin shows. And again, proving that I can do everything in a carnival. I'm not this artsy-fartsy guy that's got a dream. I come from a lineage that's willing to work hard.
Right.
So after 7 years of running with Conklin, doing all these menial tasks, I went to his office and I said, Mr. Conklin, I want to propose again that I do this circus sideshow. And he goes, I'm really not interested. I went away unhappy. And then Elfie Phillips, who was the president of Conklin shows and Frank's right-hand man, who, by the way, Elfie is a showman. He comes up to me and he goes, Frank needs to see you again in his office today. And I went, okay. So I went back to the office and Frank says, all right, here's what I'm going to do. You want to open a freak show museum on the road with us. Because my idea was to first start with a museum of my grandfather's stuff. And he goes, so go to the banks and take out your loans and build this thing the way you see it in your head. And I'm going to let you bring it out for one city. If you tank in this city, you don't get to go on route with us anywhere. And you're going to have to pay back the banks with your own money. But if you make money on the carnival, you can tour the full tour across Canada and maybe into the States.
Right.
Okay, so the game was on.
Challenge accepted.
Yes. 8 months to build
I like it.
the Carnival Diablo World of Wonders. Now, this was my first big attraction. And we built a beautiful walk-through trailer, 35 feet long, looked like a great big old Victorian haunted house, basically. But when you entered it, it was filled with freaks. And each one was an installation. So like the Fiji mermaid was in this kind of underwater display thing with a whole bunch of other things like piranhas and Jenny sea fairies and things like that. And, each one had its own special little room. And Frank, we were building it and the day came, we were opening in Winnipeg, the Red River X, which is not the greatest fucking exhibition in the world. Like,
I need your mailing address.
Ultimately, what we did was we got there a day late because we were still painting the carnival attraction.
Ah, yeah.
And,
oh, my Kool-Aid. I love that.
There, I went to the office in a panic and I said, Frank, we're here. Where do you want to put us? And he goes, there's no room for you now. Everything's set up. Yeah. So I'm now horrified. We have this beautiful attraction that's, ready to go, but we have no place for it. He goes, well, there is a hill a block away from the carnival that you could set up on, away from the carnival.
Oh, wow.
So we pulled this thing up to the top of this hill, and he sent us power. So we had power. And the next morning, he comes up to me at 6 a.m. I'm already up, and he's got a cigar with him. Now, here's the one thing we knew about Frank Conklin. If he's carrying his cigar, he's in a good mood. So he had a cigar with him, and he walks up to the thing and goes, "Can I go in?" And I said, "Yes, you can, Mr. Conklin." And he went inside. He was in it for 8 minutes, which is a good long time for a person that runs a carnival.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out the other end, lights his cigar, and goes, "When's it going to be bigger?"
Wow. Cha-ching. I like it.
Then on, we were touring with Conklin, and our attraction, there's there's 78 rides with Conklin shows, big rides. On the top 10 list every month was Carnival Diablo's World of Wonders. We were making it with the big rides that were costing them millions of dollars to run. And we were running walk-through museum.
Wow, that's fantastic.
First year, yes. After the first year, Elfie Phillips came up to me and goes, "Scott, Frank has talked to me, and we're willing to give you more real estate on the carnival. Would you like to make another attraction?" Now, for the first time in history, we were going to start building a back end with my ideas.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
The next year, I brought out Anastasia, the Living Mermaid. And it was a full mermaid show under a big top. And it was basically when you entered the big top, there was a showman that would do the introduction, bring back these beautiful Victorian curtains, and on a Victorian table in a basically a foot round bowl of water was a 7-inch woman breathing water like you and I breathe air, swimming in the bowl. And it wasn't a hologram. It wasn't some kind of weird reflective thing. She was 3-dimensional, and you could communicate with her. So if you were like going like this, she would go like this. If you went like this, she would go like this. It was like amazing. So people were suddenly falling in love with this mermaid in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
In Calgary, while we were running it, we were seeing thousands of people through the gate every day and night. And who comes up with an entourage with him? Ewan McGregor. He drove his motorbike from LA to see me because
Obi-Wan.
He walked up to me and said, "Mr. McClelland, I hear that you have a mermaid inside that tent. And ever since I did the movie Big Fish, I've had an affinity to mermaids, and I have to see her." I said I'd be very happy to. And I brought him into the tent, gave him a big show. And when he got into the tent, he saw Anastasia, the Living Mermaid. He's like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?"
you had me at the Scottish accent to say.
And he spent 25 minutes in there. And then after he left, he came up to me and he goes, "You know, Scott, you live a very charmed life." This is the guy that was in Moulin Rouge, was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I was going to say, Obi-Wan, thank you.
Wait, is he Scottish or Irish? I don't...
He's Scottish.
Scottish, yeah. Okay, I was right.
Yeah, McGregor.
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 It's my favorite accent, so I was just making sure I didn't screw up there when you were...
I'm Scott McClelland. They named a whole land after me.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even say the word.
That is that's a real compliment to have,
And that same year, coming to see the mermaid, because again, the mermaid was beautiful, was Brett the Hitman Hart. And he's a buddy of mine, but he came out and got pictures with the mermaid also.
He was a beautiful soul.
The Kool-Aid's on a roll tonight. Shane, hold your Kool-Aid.
Hold your Kool-Aid. Not Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you've also had the honor of working with Tim Curry.
I have. In the Carpathian Mountains, 1 mile
Love the Carpathians.
from Dracula's real castle. We filmed a movie called Blood Moon, originally called Wolf Girl. And it was about a girl with hypertrichosis that was born. Her parents didn't want her She was brought up on a carnival in the 1930s.
Right.
Harley Doon, the owner of the carnival, was Tim Curry, and
Right.
basically turned her into the Wolf Girl. Well, it's a story that's basically like Pinocchio.
Right.
She didn't want to be a wolf girl at the age of 18. She just wanted to be a girl like everybody,
I
like
wanna be a
every
real
other.
girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a cautionary tale. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Story, but
Good night,
Tim
Alex.
actually has 2 songs in the movie. He sings. Grace Jones plays the half and half, half man, half woman. She sings also, which is really awesome. And I play Yorgo, the human pincushion, and I'm in all the nightmare scenes. And I do a lot of the sideshow feats that I do in Carnival Diablo. And they let me actually use my trademark Carnival Diablo makeup in the film. So I'm playing Nikolai Diablo, basically.
Oh, which is
Oh, that is
that is
amazing.
awesome. What a better place to be. I love Romania.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is beautiful. It really is a place that where time stands still, all of it. And you know, I mean, I'm assuming you were at Bran Castle because of course there are several. Or you at Poyanade?
We went. It was a tight schedule when we were there. We got to see Ceausescu's palace,
Yes, that's
which
beautiful.
was quite fascinating
Yes,
because it had only been overthrown maybe 16 years earlier.
yes.
It was weird seeing big, beautiful 300-year-old buildings next to blown out buildings. It was like a Kosovo newsreel.
Yeah.
It was weird. And there were militia police carrying Uzi machine guns. And we were
Yeah.
told that if we ever had our cameras out, they would actually shoot us if we filmed. And so I was
Wow.
taking my video camera at my leg on, and I filmed them as I walked by. And it was like scary because they could have caught me. But I got them on film because I had to get these big Uzis that they were carrying and everything. It was just frightening.
Wow.
It's frightening. I saw them at the airport. They hang out with guns there. It's like,
Oh, it's nuts. But
It
we were
is.
told before we went to Romania, as like all the actors, because I like everybody that was involved, I got to meet them beforehand, and it was like Sean Ashmore from the X-Men and all that. He was the protagonist of the movie.
right.
We were told that toilet paper is a premium, and so like bring toilet paper because you can almost use it for bartering, and that they're very poor there. And yes, it's true that they are poor. When we got there, toilet paper was not a premium. Of course, Western society does make things sound a lot worse than they really are.
Yeah, well, that's new.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
And-
what was big in Romania when I was there?
No.
Freaking gnomes.
Thanks,
They were-
Grandpa.
Everywhere. The land of vampires were loaded with
What the
freaking
hell am I
gnomes.
supposed to say?
Thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Grandpa.
That's
Wow.
terrible.
No, please continue.
I love gnomes,
We
but
were
whatever.
put up in not a 5-star hotel, but really another palace in Romania.
Very nice.
It was gorgeous. It was weird because I was not starring in this movie. I was co-starring.
Right.
And I was treated like a king. When I was there, I had my own personal cook. I had my own personal valet, my own personal butler.
Mhm.
That's the way to live.
It was nuts.
They love Canadians.
It was nuts. And
Yeah.
Ultimately, in the film, they had a lot of circus performers that were real, but they were real gypsy circus performers.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, it's nice, but here's the sad part of the story.
Uh-oh.
There was a segregation where
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
would not allow the gypsies to actually be around the actors
I know.
between takes, and they would
Yeah.
segregate them and they'd have a camp away from the set
Yeah.
where they would have to go. And when we went to eat, they would get different food than we would.
Oh,
You're kidding.
that's
Were
terrible.
they
No.
offended by it or?
Well, you see, this is the thing. I come from a Ukrainian family that was also travelers.
Yes.
Yes.
Were gypsy, but we were travelers, and these Romanians were like high-end circus gypsies. Like their life on the road had gone back 300 years as circus people.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could interact with them except for the basically the director and producer.
Wow.
They learned that my grandfather was Ukrainian, Ukrainsky, and they learned about my history, and they asked me to come to their camp.
Yeah,
So
they
Wow.
realized you were one of them. Yeah.
Yes, I left the area where everybody was safely being taken to, and
Mm-hmm.
I spent a day in their camp. And they pulled out, in these big, beautiful old tents, they pulled out these tomes, these books filled with photographs that were 140 years old.
Oh my gosh,
Family,
that's amazing.
and they just opened up to me. And so I spent a better part. I kind of like I kind of fell for like one of the girls and everything while I was there. It was great. It was like,
Yeah.
and it was so innocent. It really was. It was so innocent because it was like they were fascinated with my background. I was fascinated with their background, and it was just such a beautiful pairing of talent because they were so talented. These people,
Yes.
and I remained fast friends with them for years. Now it's been over 20 years since we filmed that movie, so I
Wow.
cannot say I know them any longer.
Right.
But they were brilliant. And
What an experience. Just amazing. A
Mhm.
phenomenal experience.
yes, it was an experience I'll never forget.
Absolutely.
Working with Tim Curry was something that just was
Love
mine.
him.
Like when he walked onto the set, everybody collectively sighed. It was like, Tim's here. It's
Yeah.
like everybody's so relaxed because he knew his stuff. He had rehearsed his lines over and over again. Me and Tim got along famously because I used to do vaudeville, just like my
Yes.
grandfather did. And Tim used to do vaudeville back in the 60s and early 70s before
Right.
he did Rocky Horror. And
Yes.
so me and him would get together between takes and all that and talk shop about being a live performer, you know, in Broadway,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And
Right.
Tim was fascinating because one day I was laying in my trailer, and usually the person that knocks on the trailer door is the DP, the director of photography, or somebody to tell you to go on the set. So I'm
Right.
laying there, and there's a knock on the door, and I'm like, I'm sleeping because I knew I wasn't supposed to go on for 2 hours, and I hear from beyond the door, it's Tim, and I scramble for the door, I open it up,
I'm awake. I'm awake.
come over to my trailer, I want to do something for you. And I
It's
went
like,
over,
Okay.
and Tim sits me down. He goes, I want to sing you a song.
Wow.
I was being serenaded by Tim Curry. He goes, I want to bring out a blues album, and I want to try a song on you. And if you like it, maybe I'll use it in the album. He wanted me to give him an idea whether it was good enough. And
Wow, that's humbling.
That is awesome.
That's humbling.
Yeah.
That's like Tim
Yeah.
freaking Curry.
Yeah.
Wee hours of the morning. Get up. I want to sing to you. Oh, all right.
Tim, there's a whole bunch of hurry up and wait in film where you're just sitting for 3 or 4 hours as they change lights and everything.
Right.
And me and
Yeah.
Tim were in a big scene together where we had to wait for lights for 4 hours to change. I asked him if I could paint him. He sat for 4 hours as I painted him.
Wow.
Wow.
Because I brought my painting materials when I went to Romania. And
Wow.
so-
I'd be a blur if you painted me. I can't sit still for a minute. You just have a blur.
all he did was like tell stories while I painted them. And
That
it
is beautiful.
was delightful.
Wow.
Did you end up giving him that painting, or did you end
No,
up keeping
no,
it?
I never finished it because they called us onto the set before it could be completed. And
Oh no.
I will not finish the painting now because it's now a piece of history. Where it's
That
not-
is amazing. No, it's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What an adventurous life you've lived. You know, I think it's wonderful. You have like most awesome childhood just growing up with. Every kid wants to freaking
History.
grow up in a circus. You know, nowadays most kids don't even know what a circus is.
Nope.
No. Or they think it's Cirque du Soleil, and that's more theater than it is circus
Yeah.
these days. With great acrobats.
Oh yeah.
It's very
Or-
much acrobatic. I saw them in Italy, in southern Italy. They had set up on the tent on the Ionian, and it was beautiful.
Mhm.
It is. It's very exciting, but it's
Not circus.
Mhm.
And
no.
yeah.
No, you go ahead. I'm fishing for a question that came up
Please.
earlier, and I am going to try to find it. But you keep talking. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it either. But basically, the question was, were you a shaman like your grandfather? Because I can't.
Oh, that
find it.
goes way back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah.
Was I or
Yeah.
am I? That's a different question. I just came out 4
I can't
years
find
ago as a witch. I have
Right.
told people that I have been practicing until 4 years ago. Ultimately, my grandfather never told his family that he was a warlock.
Oh,
Mhm.
My mom didn't know. My aunts and uncles, which were his kids, didn't really know. As far as they were concerned, he was a Greek Orthodox Ukrainian. You know, they
oh,
do the prayers at the table and everything before they ate and all that kind of thing.
right.
What I apprenticed under my grandfather. I started apprenticing from 11 to the age of 25. He passed away when I was 25. And I had the privilege of learning everything that he could tell me. And so
Right.
he took me aside and he would tell me stories. And then he would say, look, this is something the family doesn't know, but I'm going to let you know that, these are the things I do and this is where I'm at. And we talked about many, many things, the psychology of why people want to spend their money on entertainment and art and everything. Like I'm very lucky to have learned the things I've learned. It doesn't make me a great businessman, but boy, I tell you, the amount of knowledge I have
Mhm.
for archaic entertainments and art is huge.
Right. Right.
But when I was a kid, like old people, like when I say old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old people would come to my grandfather's house and they go, Mr. Lauchuk, my legs are cramped up here and they're hurting and I've got this terrible eczema and what can you do to help me? And my grandfather would go back into a cupboard in the kitchen, so I'd watch him do this. He'd go back into a cupboard and he'd open it up and it would be filled with tinctures and salves that he had made himself. And he'd bring down these herbs and spices and different concoctions and he'd mix them together in front of these people and he'd go, you take and you rub this on your body 3 times a day and I want you to say these certain things as you do. And you take and do this and put it in your mouth. And I'd watch this and people would go away and they'd be fine. Like they'd actually be better. Because they come back and thank him because I was still, visiting and I'd see this happen. And I learned that my grandfather was a shaman that people would come to and he would actually, because he was a botanist and a chemist, he would help them with his knowledge. And he invented a salve for eczema that he took to the grave with him. It actually gets rid of eczema completely.
Wow.
And the family doesn't know what he used.
I'm guessing cannabis because it does work.
Yeah. I'm guessing you're probably there was some of that.
CBD.
Fish with it.
Yeah.
Rub it on your eczema and throw it at the fish.
Yeah.
Good work. We have to take a quick station ID and sponsor ID.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do the
Yeah.
job part of the show.
Understood.
The ones that pay for us to be here. We need to acknowledge them. We love them. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the gorgeous city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. FM, Scott. Tonight we have Scott McClelland in the house with us talking about his fascinating life and his history, and it's so rich. So if you're just tuning in right now, you need to wait for the archive and just go back and start it again. And don't forget to share, stream, or listen to all of our archives in the platform that you normally use. And we want to give a big hello and thank you. The reason why we're here for Folgers Coffee, fully sponsoring our show from day one. We love you. We thank you so much. And we'd also like to give a huge thanks to the voice and the music. Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon. Justin Snicker is award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp. Find him on Facebook and Instagram. Go check him out. Say hello.
And we're back.
Now you can talk.
Yeah. I think you and Dr. Snick would do really well together.
I'm teasing, Scott. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
I sound worse than you. That is nothing. And I get it from my mama. I'm not lying.
I just naturally swear occasionally because it's not something that I think of as a swear word. It's just,
No, it's an adjective, actually. I use it a lot.
Me too, I admit it.
You should hear the two of us
It's never-
together. It
it's
would
there
be
to
just
function.
one constant bleep.
Yeah. See?
It's terrible.
So I do apologize. And I
No, don't. I'm just teasing you
Trouble
in
for my
fun.
effort.
No, don't
I-
apologize.
I do feel silly that happened.
No,
No,
I
don't.
don't
You're not the
want you to
first. You
feel
won't be the
silly.
last.
I'm saying
Yes.
it with total
So-
I adore you. Adoration. It's not, I'm just
Yes.
teasing you.
Are
Yeah.
we on a break right now? Like, are people listening to us?
Oh,
Yeah, we're live. We're
Lots.
like you've got a few million listening.
No, but at this moment.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're
We're
still
live.
live. We're still talking. I get
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're live. We're live.
Okay.
No.
He's like,
it.
what?
Wasn't a break. You were just doing a little tiny Folgers commercial.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
Learning. Yeah.
There we go.
okay, I'm sure
there
you'll be
we
back.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Tina
we
says,
bring
just
everybody
ducking
into it.
around.
Yep. There we go. Yes, Zachman, please send it in. If you get it to me
Oh, that's
tomorrow, I will
awesome.
play it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Promise.
We have our guests and some of our audience members that are doing commercials for us, and we're playing them
Folgers loves it.
on the show. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a commercial for you guys. and
Please. Oh, I would love that.
We would love it. Absolutely. We'll play it and
I
it'll
want-
just sit there forever.
I want more of you, though. Like 2 hours isn't enough on air.
I know. But we have another half an hour, which is like
Oh, good.
40
Well,
minutes when I look at
that's
where we
amazing.
started.
Yeah.
So, okay. So where do we go from here? Now I guess you've been on the road. You've decided somewhere along the lines. Okay, you know what? I'm tired. I'm just going to bring this whole thing, put it stationary, and let the world come to me. Right?
Here we go. Okay. So
Okay.
as of this year, as of April 1st, 2022, Carnival Diablo is 30 years old.
Oh,
So we are now 3
congratulations.
decades old. We started in 1992 on April Fool's Day, which was my grandfather's birthday.
Oh,
Wow.
that is amazing. I love that.
Here we are, April 1st, it has already come and gone. We are 30 years old this year.
Wow.
I was originally, back in February, I was going to be booking, and I did, a park here in the area to set up my big top. And I was going to do a anniversary, extravaganza of sorts.
Right.
I just finished, I came off of just 2 days ago, the Ottawa Fringe Festival. I did that
Right.
so it's like I was doing this new production that I created called the Reliquary.
Nice.
A lot of hard work went into setting up and tearing down because they only give you 15 minutes to set up and 15 minutes for tear down. And I
Wow.
carry a production. So it's not like I'm coming in with a little briefcase and a couple pieces of paper and performing on stage.
Right.
So it was very tiring when I've discovered, because I am getting older, I discovered when it was done, I was exhausted.
Right.
And so I immediately called the park that I had booked at. And I said, you know what? And this is weird for me. Like, this is really weird. I said, I'd like to revoke my booking. I'm not going to do a Carnival Diablo show this year.
Wow.
So my
Wow.
biggest, year, 3 decades, I decided I'm not going to actually celebrate it that way. Because I think that it's much more important to celebrate Carnival Diablo's world through the Diablo Manor. Now,
Mm.
have decided as of 4 years ago to take myself off the road. I've been touring since 1979.
Wow.
That's a lot.
It's a long time. It really
Yeah.
is. It's a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so I thought to myself, I don't want to tour anymore. I don't want to go chasing those contracts. I don't want to do 4-wall theaters anymore. I don't want to talk with agents any longer. I don't want to be doing that. And I came across this beautiful place in Spencerville, Ontario, which is a village of 450 people. And I turned it into an attraction. So
Right.
it's not just my home. It's a place that people can now come and experience my whole world. My
Mm.
father's history is in here. My
Right.
history is in here.
Mhm.
I have attractions on the outside. We have the only showman's caravan in North America.
It's wild. Yeah.
And
I've seen
behind
photos.
is this thing that looks like a haunted house. It's an escape room.
Oh, Oh,
That's
Oh.
awesome.
yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. And so my yard is becoming much like my grandfather's yard, an attraction too.
Right.
And instead of because as an artist, we don't get a pension. As an artist, we also don't make that much money. Even if
Right.
you could be on TV 1,000 times, it's not going to make you.
It's true.
Yeah, true.
It's true.
Preach. Michelle's going preach.
Tell me.
And ultimately, without a pension, I thought to myself, I don't want to be looking at the age of 70 for theaters to play at and hoping that people will still find me valid.
Yeah.
There's ageism in the industry.
Right. Right.
So I thought, if I do this, where I open the Diablo Manor as a tourist attraction and I make it a fully immersive 3-hour evening where you get a full tour of the actual manor, and then after the tour, you get a Victorian meal, and after the meal, there's a 75-minute show in the parlor that ends with a seance.
Wow.
A lot of bang for your buck.
Wow.
And so that's what I've done here. And ultimately, the Diablo Manor now is the Mecca for the strange. There's a place in LA called the Magic Castle. And this is where a lot of magicians want to go and perform because it's like it's the big place for magicians.
Mm-hmm.
The Diablo Manor is the Mecca for sideshow people.
Right.
I have people from all over the world that are friends of mine, including people from the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow and George the Giant and all these people. They all want to come here,
Right.
spend time cutting up jackpots, which, by the way, is an old term in carnival speak that means talk, old
Right.
stories.
Right.
They want to come here and they just want to hang out. And so this is a place where stories can be told. And this is a place where you can feel safe and good and happy about the fact that you're a bohemian and
It's the next leg of your journey, basically, Wow.
And so even when I'm 80, I can still run this place and be a showman. And,
Right.
I basically I own the house. So it's like, it's just now paying down the mortgage
Right.
Good for you.
and making this thing a reality
Right.
for the rest of my life.
You're
Nobody-
evolving into a different
That's
way
right.
of expression. You're actually so generous by doing this. You're really
Well,
extremely generous.
Thank you. People don't know this, but when I did the Ottawa Fringe Festival this past week, that was my last time performing in a theater
Wow.
ever.
That's
That's
it.
historical.
Neat.
Yeah.
Done. Wow. Well, it's time, I think. I think you've been at it for a really long time. And it sounds like you can do all of that right within your own space, which is like amazing. I know Tina says, I'm booking for sure. There we go.
So are we. I'm gonna get out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
and photography and everything is very welcome here, so people can come and take pictures when they're here.
Well, we should do a show there.
We should.
We should
That
do
would
a
be
live
fun.
show.
We
Yeah.
could do a podcast from here with you guys. It would be lovely, and I would embrace that.
Oh,
No, it would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it would. It would. Is your house haunted?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. This really isn't a house.
Okay.
This was the first Orangeman's temple of the region. That's
Wow.
This was a secret society's temple. And
Right.
the interior of this place is not set up like a house, which is why I took it. It's set
Right.
up like a temple. And so
Nice.
there is the smoking room, the parlor, the library, etc., etc. And
Right.
upstairs was the ritual room. Upstairs in the ritual room, the ceilings are 14 feet.
Beautiful.
Very nice. Very nice.
Everything is dark wood in here. So it's like it's
Nice.
beautiful. And when you walk into the Diablo Manor, you leave Canada and you enter an alternate realm. And it's beautiful. Like, I know that I'm speaking to the choir here when it comes to you ladies. I know that you're living in beautiful homes. I know that. But many people don't live the Victorian style that we do.
No,
And
I
so
don't either.
No.
But I get it. It's nice. It's
I'm
beautiful.
kind of like, Gothic revival, old world. I like the big chunky carved. I've got, I used to incorporate part of the funeral collection, and
Well,
I go brain dead for Gothic arches, as you could see, so they're everywhere. But I
And
understand.
chairs, just saying. And
Oh,
chairs.
there's the older chairs, yeah, are really nice. But
She's sitting on a throne right
it's
now,
just
Scott.
new,
It's a throne.
but it's new.
It's not a chair.
It's
It's a
just for the
throne.
desk. I wouldn't sit in something old. But
Yeah.
the Victorians, a lot of people don't understand that the Victorians, and what was so interesting about that era, besides everything else, was that they were into like picnics in the cemetery, seances, table tipping, weird greeting cards.
memento mori. They
Right.
were photography was in its infancy, so they were taking pictures of corpses next to them and
Oh,
smiling
yeah.
at it because this was the last time they were going to see them before they were around.
Yeah,
These people were horribly morbid, and
it's true.
Michelle owns some of those photos,
they
by
cut
the way.
hair off of people that were dead, and they'd make little tiny frames with it and everything. It just beautiful ideas, but
Yeah.
they wax poetic about death, and
Right.
yet they feared it as much as we do today, because it doesn't matter how far into the future we go, we're never going to understand what happens when we die. It's the
Right.
big, and
Right.
so it's frightening. Mostly when you've lived a full life, you want to keep on living more of a full life, but you can't. It's
It's
fine.
true.
It's not, something that goes on forever. And so
Right.
I know that, and I probably only have 30 years left on the planet. That's not very long.
No, don't say that. You don't
How
know.
old as Carnival Diablo is right now. But here's the thing. Because I'm aware of that, I have a lot of work to do here.
Right.
I have a lot of things I need to be doing before I'm done.
Right.
My grandfather died at the age of 103. And I can remember when he was 101, we were sitting in the kitchen together. And he says to me, "Scott, does Calgary have a dinosaur?" And I said, "Well, Grandpa, Calgary has a dinosaur park." He goes, "Oh, I wanted to make a Tyrannosaurus Rex." He was 101. He wanted to make a 50-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I love it.
Now, here's something that many people won't know unless they look it up, and I do ask you to look it up because I'm very proud of this. Our family, thanks to my grandfather, built a 35-foot statue, which is a welcome symbol from the Ukraine, of Lesia. And Lesia is a Ukrainian figurehead, female, that's dressed in beautiful Ukrainian clothing, holding a tray with a kolach, which is Ukrainian bread, and a vial of salt, the welcome symbol of the Ukraine. My grandfather had built this thing from scratch in his late 80s. And
Amazing.
it's 35 feet high. It has a iron pole that's this wide that goes 45 feet into the ground because of tornadoes. So if a tornado came around the area, the statue stays standing. My grandfather was also a pioneer in plastics, and he went and showed me when I went to his dome where he built all the Ferris wheels and everything. He was working on these beautiful, intricate flowers that went on the headdress of Lesia, and they were very beautiful. They're porcelain looking, and he had this old anvil and a great big hammer. And he says, "Scott, look at this." He puts the flower down on the anvil, and he takes the hammer and he goes, "Bam!"
Oh.
And he holds it up to me and he goes, "There's not a scratch on it." Then he went and he cut glass with it. He goes, "This is harder than a diamond."
Wow.
And I'm going to take this to grave with me. He had invented a substance that was tougher than a diamond. And that's what her flowers were made out of. And it's something my grandfather created.
Your grandfather would have been a match for Tesla. Just saying, like, wow.
Wow. That's crazy. That's
I know.
crazy. So, I mean, your grandfather passed. You continued his legacy. What happens to, Diablo Manor after that? The legacy. Will it become a museum? Do you think? Like, is this something you'll work out with the town to keep it alive?
Well, I don't know. I've been talking to the Canadian History Museum in Ottawa, and they are wanting to procure my full estate when I pass.
Right.
So posthumously, I'm thinking of actually bequeathing when I pass on grandfather's stuff and my stuff, so that it goes into the right hands. It'll be archived, and I will put it together in such a way that it can be toured and put on show. The look, a look at the life of show people in Canada from the early 20th century into the early 21st century.
Wow.
And
I wasn't thinking so much when you passed, but when the time comes, you say, okay, I'm done. Time to retire. Pass it along.
no,
Doesn't want to retire.
I won't be retiring. Yeah.
It's okay.
You see, that's why he lived so long. You see, the reason he lived so long is because he kept himself busy.
Right.
Yeah, very
Right
much
to
so.
retire, you're basically, that's your death sentence.
But you could be an overseer.
No. When I die, I'll be plastinated, and I can be placed in the front room of the manor, where I will be a greeter.
Right?
Just come back in spirit and just boss everybody
I was-
around. And
I was
keep
just
them in
gonna
line.
say, if God forbid you pass before me, I'll make sure to call you forward so you can oversee this whole thing going on and make sure they're doing it right, and I can, speak for you.
Yeah.
Thank
Do a seance. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You'll
I
live
love
longer
it.
than me.
I love it. I love it. So what's next then? I mean, it sounds to me like you've pretty much done everything you've wanted to do for the most part.
I've been very lucky, and I have. The Carnival Diablo troupe idea is now done. I will not do a sideshow again. The paranormal show is now done. I will not be touring theaters any longer.
Right.
The Query was one production I created specifically for the Fringe that is
Right.
now. So
Right.
now my touring side of my career is done. I was driving earlier today, and I was still looking at there's a little bowler trailer that went by, and I was like, here's an office. I was thinking to myself already, I should buy that for an office on the road. But then I was thinking, I'm not going on the road anymore. Why am I this way? You can't break an old horse
No.
once they have an idea in their head. It's crazy. So I'm saddened by the fact that, yes, I'm going off the road because I do have sawdust in my veins.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm very excited about the prospects of putting every ounce of energy into the Diablo Manor. And as of July 1st, which is, thank you for saying that. As of July 1st, which is Canada Day, we're reopening. We've been closed for 2 weeks because of the Fringe. So this Friday, the Diablo Emporium, which we haven't talked about, is an emporium here at the Manor in the front of the house that houses my art. And I'm an outsider artist, and so my art is really weird. It's not normal. And so if you have a love for horror and for Victorian creepiness, you will love my art. And
nice.
I paint and I create everything. And the Diablo Emporium is open Thursdays through Sundays.
There you go.
5.
Tina clearly has been to the Emporium.
We can go on a Friday because we work Wednesday and Thursday.
That's right.
And come back Monday.
I sometimes have shows on Saturdays too. So
we'll just have to go on the bi-weekly in the summer when you're not doing the show on the Saturday.
Fridays and Saturdays, the Diablo Manor is open 7 to 10. And so you can book at diablomanor.com and come and experience an evening of enchantment.
I like that. I like it. So
Zach wants to buy you a drink.
Who?
Yes.
Zachman, he wants to buy you a drink.
Here he says, this is what he says right here. Okay, read it off, Amelia, for the people who are listening and not
yes. Thank
seeing.
You, Michelle. Zachman says, I've never heard of Scott before tonight, but man, I love him already. If I ever get to meet him, I'll buy him a beer or a glass of wine.
There we go.
What if he drinks cognac, Zach? No, kidding.
Well, I'm actually a port drinker.
There you go, port.
And
there we go.
Porto.
And he says,
Victorian horror is right up my alley. That's my kind of horror. That's from Zachman as well.
And Tina
says both. Sorry, both.
I'm going to guess she says bought.
Oh, bought some art that he created.
Did.
Nice.
Okay, good. Just trying to keep up. I've just been watching this all scroll up. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But we don't like to interrupt and just get in there. So,
This has been delightful, you know.
oh, thank you. We I think it's a lot of fun, just sort of. I'm just trying to look for one of Ken Kieser's. Ken Kieser comes out and says,
Way too much fun tonight. It's never too much fun.
wait for it.
Kool-Aid and Folgers. F, yeah.
Yep.
I almost read that straight. But
Yep.
yeah, you had me, Ken. You got this close.
It's really laid back. We like to have a lot of
Yeah.
fun. We don't just like, drill
It
bomb
helps
questions
that
at you.
we're
yeah.
best friends too, because it's just you're getting us. That's what the
guys
audience
brought-
get. They're getting us. This is what we're like when we're together, period. So
It's just
only
round
with a few
table.
F-bombs. Just a few F-bombs.
Not that we're not thinking them.
No, it just went by
So-
right now, I tell you.
So somebody did ask about a question about filming, the story on your life. Have you thought about writing a book?
Yeah, I am in the process of doing a couple books actually.
All right.
One is a book on the Diablo Manor, and
Right.
it's about
Nice.
contents with all of my stories, and
Right.
it's illustrated by me, so all the stories are illustrated.
Right.
And the second book is a book that is called. I've named my book, and it's I think it's called "See You Down the Road," and
Right.
it's an old church
That.
travel world where it basically you never say goodbye, you just see you down the road, and ultimately it's just my road tour stories from 1979 to now.
That's
Right.
wonderful. I look
Right.
forward to that.
Well, I guess it's sort of something that as you leave this entire collection behind to be hopefully documented but still enjoyed by many. I would like to think that your building and your home would still go on to be a museum for many decades to come, but I think the book will also, or books will also, be a reflection of your life and everything that you and your family have contributed to everything you guys have been through. 104 years. When you think of it on that, like that scale, it's hard to even fathom that one family has stayed in this field, I guess, for so long. Fields, like literally. It's like,
Yeah, high grass circus. It's true. We're very proud of our lineage. We're we know that nobody did it except, and so it's like it's weird because circuses. On the other hand, there's been a few in Canada, but nobody did Sideshow. Nobody.
no,
Now,
not in Canada.
in the late 90s, people started picking up on what me and Jim were doing, and they started their own sideshows. And you see it a lot in burlesque now and things like that, where it's just variety entertainers are getting together and doing these one-off shows. But still, you're hard pressed to find a real good sideshow these days.
It's true. Yeah.
And many of the greats are done. Todd Robbins, a fantastic sideshow man out of New York. I know that he's still working, but he's not really running sideshows longer. Ward Hall passed away around 4 years ago, and he was the king of sideshow.
Wow.
And Ward ran shows from the 1940s right up until 4 years ago. And they were freak shows. So he had like fat people, tall people, tiny people, every type of person. And it was fascinating. I had the pleasure of knowing Ward since '84. And so I spent a lot of time with Ward and Smiling Pete Terhune, his sidekick, which was this little midget of a man.
Right.
Was a real sweetheart. Deaf, but brilliant. He could communicate in so many different ways. And,
wow.
There's still some sideshows out there that are doing some great things. There's Hell's a Pop and Circus Sideshow. Bryce Graves owns it, and it's a brilliant circus sideshow. It's kind of like if I were to pass my torch, I'd say I'd be passing it to Bryce because he's doing a fantastic smack-up job out there with his...
Right. Well, it's great if you can, keep it going. Amelia, did you want to get that?
Yes, thank you. Tina says, I think Scott and his family are such great Canadians. What a legacy. Congratulations, sir.
And thank you.
Absolutely. It's part of, Canada's heritage, not even like just so much yours. I mean, more obviously more so you and your family, but I think, we as Canadians, it's part of our heritage. We've embraced this, and it's something that, we call our own. So I think it's really important that all the stories you're telling about your grandfathers, all these inventions, they're all sitting there going, what? Kool-Aid? What? What's that? Like, maybe you need to do an audiobook. Just, what you did for your grandmother and your mom. Like, that's,
Well, my mom wants to do a kind of an audio thing, and I'm like, a lot of people really like when I tell stories about my family. So I'm thinking maybe if I made a special tome of stories between me and my mom, coming from my side and my mom's side, because my mom sees it from her past, and I see it from what I've done. And we've both done great things in the industry in the sense of seeing things change over and over again many times. And yeah, it's I'm fascinated with my family life. Like I love listening to my uncles and aunts talk about it. But sadly, they're all gone except for my uncle. And so it's just my mom and my uncle that are left out of the 9 kids.
Yeah, it's hard. And it's like that. You try to get all those stories that you can. Yeah.
Like an audio memoir. It's just you need to get it out there. People keep saying that to me, in my family, because I just seem to hold on to all the knowledge. It's like, you have to put that on an audio, put it down, let's record it. I'm like, why? Because none of us are going to remember it. Oh, well.
Oh, wow. My cousins and I are all doing it. We're all, because my dad came from 3 brothers.
That kind of time. I don't have that kind of time.
Oh, no. What we did was, because now my dad passed in 2020, but we kept the stories and we kept information and we researched, because my dad's family actually built Pisa. So we went back and back and back, and we've all kept stories. And my uncle was a prisoner of war. He was taken prisoner for 3 months by the Nazis. So there's a lot of history there. And my mom's family, her mother, my grandmother's side, and great grandmother, who's a witch. She was a holistic healer, but they called her a witch. But anyways, there's a story there, and they come from barons. It's just, and I talk to dead people. I just don't fit in. And I'm not artistic at all, even though my family built Bloody Pisa and painted. But
so effing Pisa. That apparently is a thing tonight.
Pisa. Yeah. So we all kept notes, and we want to bring it together.
Good.
That's what we did. So, and also with genealogy centers and things like that, we actually had somebody do it for us in Malta, who visited there long before all this ancestry stuff. That honestly, you got to be careful what you trust on there, because the information is inputted by other people. Sorry, ancestry. I can't even say it. But anyways, yeah, just be careful, because people are inputting that information, so you don't know what's accurate.
Right. Yeah. And you want to keep the history as accurate as possible, mostly when it's about
especially when you're in the history books. Yes, you want to be as accurate as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we're up at the top of the hour, so tell everybody again, but a little bit about Diablo Manor, how to find you, how to reserve. Go.
All right. In a nutshell, the Diablo Manor is an evening of enchantment where you get to enter my home and get to see over 120 different freaks and anomalies from all over the world, experience a beautiful meal, and then after the meal, a 19th century styled show that will take you back in a weird and wild way to a time period that never existed, because the show itself is like actually experiencing MIGICK magic, not doves and rabbits out of hats. And after all is said and done, there's a seance to end the evening, and you can get tickets by going to www.diablomanor.com. And we have pictures, we have things about the shows and everything you can find on that website. It's as simple as that. The Diablo Emporium is open Thursdays through Sundays in Spencerville, Ontario. Ultimately, it is a wonderful little place that you can come and talk to me. I'm there for 6 hours doing basically nothing but hanging out. So if you come down to Canada and you want to talk to an old showman that has some great stories, I'm here to tell you stories. I smoke my pipe, drink some good port, and just wax poetic all day long.
Love it. I do. I love it. It's so bohemian.
It really is.
I love it. I do. I do.
And apart from that, this is where you're going to find me. And I am going to tell you something. I was working on something 7 years ago, and it's something I've been working on since 1984, but 7 years ago, we actually brought it to life. And it's a TV series. It's called Dr. Rigor Morto.
I love it.
I'm just going to quickly plug this because Dr. Rigor Morto is a homage to the Monsters, to the Addams Family, and to Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
I love it.
It is my take on horror sitcom entertainment. And so we are bringing back Dr. Rigor Morto this fall for the first time in 7 years, and we're going to push it hard. So we're actually working on making this a real series that we're going to try and sell to either Netflix or Warner TV. And it is a wacky show filled with puppets, animation, and real live action all mixed together.
I
you should
love
contact Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch Markowitz is a friend of mine and from Hilarious. Do you know Mitch? You should. Yeah.
Last vestige of Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We
He's
had him on the
awesome.
show.
Plus, he's a big paranormal buff. So, I've filmed a couple of segments with him, and he's just so much fun. He's such a sweetheart. He did come on the show one time and just had a lot of fun talking about the old days of the Hilarious House of Frightenstein. And he's just like wonderful.
Yeah.
He is. He's wonderful, But thank you for joining us this evening. It was just so much fun having you on. Honestly, I am really glad we finally connected and got you here because I know that, there's a lot of people listening. I have no doubt the archive will do exceptionally well. And I will be in touch with you probably after I get off the soundboard and fill you in on the listeners.
Yeah, and if you see the comments, Scott, you'll see that all our guests are already booking your next appearance because they're all like, "Come back, you're amazing. We need to see you again. Great show." Yeah, so they're already your agent.
Amazing, and thank you guys for this wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. Let me know, and let anybody that's watching that has never watched this show before but are watching because of me, let them know that they can watch this again at their leisure, and show me how to show them, and I will put that up as a link on my pages.
We will get you the audio link and the video link, and you will have them both.
Thank you, because this was brilliant. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I've never talked for so long.
Oh, really?
It went by way
that's
too
a shame.
fast. You need to come back. It went by way too fast.
We'll do it again.
It would be my
pleasure. Love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, darling. Good night.
Sweet nightmares, ladies.
Thank you.
Aw.
Wow, that was just fantastic. But again, good shows always do have to come to an end. So big thank you to Scott. He was just such a pleasure to have on. Definitely see if we can bring him back again. Of course, we're booking to like bloody November at this point, but we're getting there. And I'm getting a lot of emails from people coming or wanting to come on the show. So please bear with me. I am really trying to get to everyone. We've been doing filming here as well. Just trying to get through, that also. And I'm able to, at that point, sort of come back to business as usual. So I haven't forgotten. And if you're listening, I'm not ignoring you. I promise I will get to everyone who's emailed, and see what your email is all about. So again, guys, if you're listening on any specific platform, please subscribe, or like up the page and subscribe, and maybe turn on notifications, because Amelia and I every now and then do pre-records with guests from overseas. And sometimes, just sometimes, you're lucky enough to catch the live show on the Outer Realm YouTube, which is the only place it goes because that's where it pre-records to. So just so y'all know, if you want to email us, again, the outer realm contact at gmail.com, the outer realm contact at gmail.com. Again, I promise I will get to everybody. It's just taking me a little bit of time, and I'm sorry for that. And tomorrow night, tune in as we welcome for the very first time Joshua Lewis to the Outer Realm. He's going to be sharing his research and discussing how he uses a combination of intuitive abilities and latest technologies, ITC mainly, whatever is available to capture evidence of the afterlife and communicate with spirits. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And before we sign off, we're going to leave you with Team Templar North America, Wayne Murphy sends in another winner. Here we go, guys.
Woo-hoo.
Folgers.
Good morning, everyone, from Team Templar North America, Wayne Murphy and Sean Williamson. You know, some of these old tools have been around as long as I have and even longer. And just because they got a few turns on them doesn't mean that you get rid of them. You learn to respect things that last through time. And you know what else lasts through time? Look at this old fella up here. Maybe all the goodness is gone on the inside, but still doing a job. We at Team Templar North America appreciate good stuff, history. And thanks for watching.
Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow night.